Hello, friend, and welcome to another PSA for Black men with prostate cancer. Quick update from my last video where I was sporting a very high temperature. A lot has happened. I'll try not to go through all the details, but just suffice it to say that I discovered that I have an allergy to antibiotics. I was not on antibiotics when I made that last video, but my doctor prescribed an antibiotic, which didn't help actually, and it forced me back into some care that they tried a different antibiotic and it seemed to work. And so for 4 days I was feverish, and for 3 more days trying to get it under control with different antibiotics. I finally got the fever somewhat under control, but I had to take the antibiotics for 10 more days intravenously. So what did they do? They put in what's called a midline. Some people call it a PICC line, but I think a PICC line is different. A midline is when they, in this case, they literally put an IV in my arm that goes further up the vein than a normal IV does. And it stays there, and they wrap it and they tie it down. It's actually in my arm. You can't see it, it's covered, but it's in my arm right now. And I'm being fed intravenously with antibiotics through a pump, a bag of antibiotics and a pump that are on this, in this little backpack or fanny pack. Oh yeah, and I do still have the drain coming out the other side with the fluid. It was not the infection that I had that created the fever was not in my blood apparently, but it was in the fluid. I don't know how that happens, where it's not necessarily the blood culture didn't show it, but the fluid that was draining showed it. And so now I've got antibiotics coming in one arm, fluids coming out of another port. I'm like the bionic man, the $6 million man. But truth be told, it's not very comfortable to have all this going on. The good news, if you will, some 5 days later, I've had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 to 5 days straight of no fever. And so that feels really good. I've been able to kind of get up, walk, do certain things. In fact, I have a very important job, a contract that I'm obligated to in LA that I've got to go to tomorrow. So I'm leaving tonight and going there tomorrow to perform that job and be back Saturday. Meanwhile, I do have to carry these bags with me. So how I finesse that without it being a big issue is going to be a challenge. So I'm trying on different clothes to cover up everything so that my client doesn't realize that I'm a $6 million bionic man with tubes and everything hanging out of my body. Let's see, the other news is I spoke with the head of radiology at UCLA who wanted to take a look at that spot on my hip, that spot that was shown that came up after my PSMA. PSMA showed a spot on my hip that lit up like it was cancer. So in talking to him, he says the spot is relatively small. I don't know what that means in cancer terms, but he said we're going to target it, and we're going to you have the opportunity to use radiation to target it and get rid of it. So I have 3 radiation sessions scheduled to do that. They're not scheduled yet, but that's what we are going to schedule as soon as I get past all of this fever and this infection and whatever else is going on with me. So that's good news. The other, I guess that's good news. There's an answer for that spot. What's concerning, however, is I had a bone scan. If you remember one of my previous videos, early on, before the surgery, I had a bone scan, And the bone scan did not show that spot. But the PSMA that showed the blood clots that I have, the PSMA that I had at nuclear medicine at UCLA showed that spot. So he compared the images from the bone scan. The radiologist compared the images from the bone scan and the PSMA. And he can't explain it either. Maybe it's a new spot. So he says, we're just going to attack it aggressively if I'm up for that. And so that's what we're going to do. What else is going on? I did get my latest PSA. That's what this is all about, right? Check your PSA. Latest PSA was below zero. Well, 0.1. And call coming in. So that's good news. It may even say that that spot on my hip is not prostate cancer related, but we're going to be aggressive about it nonetheless. So good news there. Good news is I'm feeling a little better. Bad news, if you want to call it bad news, I've got 2 bags, one fanny pack feeding me antibiotics and 1 bag that it's draining this fluid. And I'm not sure how long I'm going to be carrying those. The antibiotics, I should be done with those in the next few days, but the other one, still having issues there. So we'll figure that out. One step at a time. That's what we're doing, one step at a time, and we're making progress. I'm actually going back to work, so that's progress. And just wanted to share the latest with you. There's a lot more detail that I didn't share about the fever and what happened with the antibiotics, and I won't share that here. But it was a very touch and go situation at one point during that process, and it scared my loved ones to death. Anyway, I don't even want to think about it because they thought they lost me actually. So, but I'm here, right? This is the good news. I'm here, and it puts life in perspective, puts everything in perspective. So be well, be grateful for all that you have, all that you are. Give when you can, and love yourself. Love yourself first before you make any choices. All right, we'll talk again soon, and I'll give you another update as appropriate. All right, take care.